Hi. Finally getting around to doing how to work out your macros video. So I'm going to take you straight from the very beginning as if I was working this out for myself, or the process I'd use to work it out for someone else. So this is my step-by-step process. What I'm going to do is share my screen to make this a little bit easier, because there's a few things I want you to see, and it'll be easier if I can just type it straight in. So the first things you need to know is there are 4 calories per gram of both protein and carbs, and 9 calories per gram of fats. So you don't really need to know what that means right now. It will make sense as we get going on. So the first thing that I would get someone to do is keep a food diary for at least a week. So that would give me a good indication of how many calories they're sitting on and where their macros currently are. If the proteins were really low, I'll get them up to where I think they should be, which is, I go as a good starting point, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I haven't actually worked that out in kilos. What I do is use a converter thing on my phone, but that's just an easy way to remember. And if someone's carbs are really, really high, I wouldn't go cutting them down really, really low. If you can start off as high as you can, you're going to be in a bit better position once you're dieting and you are going to have to start cutting those calories from somewhere. So let's pretend that I've done a food diary and I'm just going to work with calories to begin with. I'm averaging about 1,500 calories per day. I am 62 kilos. And protein is the first thing that I work out. So I'll grab my phone and pull up my converter, and I'll always round it up. So it'd be 137 pounds. Oops. And that is our first figure. So we're going to go for protein, 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that is our starting figure, 137 grams of protein. Now we need to work out how many calories that equates to. So like I said, I'm doing this on the fly, so just bear with me because I want you to see how I actually work everything out. I should be able to bring up a calculator actually, so you can see everything. Okay, so what we do is we need to work out how many calories is 137 grams of protein. So we go 137 times 4, because there's 4 calories per gram, equals 548. 548 calories. Again, this will make sense as I get moving along. The next thing I like to work out is the fats. Especially as women, we can't have our fats too low because it really messes with our hormonal system. At the very lowest I'd go is 25% of your total calorie intake. and you can go up from there, but I wouldn't go any lower than 20 to 25, and even that I wouldn't do for too long. So we're going to put in here 1,500 calories times, we're going to go 30%. So that is our calorie number. So it's going to be a bit backwards, but bear with me. So 450 calories. Divide by 9, because there's 9 calories per grams of fats. I'm just going to put a note in here. We've gone fat intake 30% of total calories. Don't go any lower than 20%. Now that number is really going to depend on how much you actually like eating carbs over fats. If you do really well on carbs and you generally do eat a lot of carbs during the day, then keep the fat intake that little bit lower, maybe start at 25%. But if you do prefer the higher fatty foods like nuts and almonds and salmon and those things, make your fat intake higher. It doesn't really matter, because we can play around with this once it's done. So to work out our calories for fat, we're going to go back to our calculator, 450. Oopsie, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Clear. All right. 450 divided by 9. So that gives us 50 grams of fats per day. Okay, so now what we need to do is the remaining calories that we've got left goes towards our carbohydrate intake. So what we need to do is add up the calories that we've used. So we're going to go 548, which is our protein. Let's put P so you know what I'm talking about. Plus 450 for our fats. And so 548 plus 450. So I've used up 998 calories. Okay, so then we need to go 1,500, because that's what I was on, minus 998. Oh, I should just be able to do this. So we've got 502 calories remaining left for our carbs. Oops. So to work out what that is in grams, we go 502 divide by 4, because there's 4 calories per gram of carbs. Now you might be wondering, like, if carbs and proteins are the same amount, then what does it really matter? They both do very, very different things in your body. Protein is pretty much the building block for every single process that happens inside of us. And it's, you know, builds muscle, it transports hormones around, and it's good for your hair and your nails and your skin and tendons and muscles and everything. Whereas carbohydrates are pretty much purely just an energy source. protein is essential in our diet, where carbs aren't. We can function quite well without carbs if we needed to. It wouldn't be life-threatening. So 502 divided by 4. I'll just clear this up. Oops. 502 divided by 4 is 125.5. I'm quite happy if you want to just round that up. I don't really work in decimals when it comes to calorie counting or macro counting. So we'll go 126. That's what it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. So it's really that easy. My total daily intake would be approximately 1,500 calories with 137 grams of protein, 126 grams of carbs, and where's fats? 50 grams of fats. Okay, so that's what I would put into my Fitnesspal. That's the app I like to use to track my food. And the easiest way to make sure that you hit your numbers every day is to pre-plan your day. So what I would do the night before, or even if I've got time during the day, is I'll go into my Fitnesspal and put all my food in for the next day. So that way when I get home, I know exactly what I need to do for food prep. Cuts out a lot of time rather than just standing at the bench thinking, what on earth am I going to eat? And that way you're not playing, they call it macro Tetris, when you get to the end of the day and you've got, 20 grams of protein left and 10 grams of fats and no carbs, and it's a bit hard to make a meal out of that. So I like to pre-plan the day before. And another thing is, don't get so caught up in having to hit your numbers spot on every single day. If you're between even 5, depending on your goals and what you're doing, if you're competing, it's a little bit different, but if it's just for general weight loss and there's no real rush to get to the finish line, if you're between 5 and 10 grams over or under, it's not really going to make that much of a difference at the end of the day. But just, try and get it as close as possible, but don't be so strict on yourself that, you think you've failed if you've gone over too much, or, at the end of the day, it will all balance out. So I hope that explains it all. Let me know if you've got any other questions. And yeah, I'm looking forward to being on you with your weight loss journey.